Hello, thank you for clicking on this video. This is going to be a deep openings yoga session. So it'll run just about this many minutes. And I assume that you've already warmed yourself up. So if you haven't, I encourage you to click on one of my warm-up videos, or if you've already gone for a jog or done any other exercise that has your muscles, your joints pretty warmed up, then you're ready to do this session. Good. We'll start in a standing posture in Tadasana, root the feet down, extend the fingertips to the floor, stack up the spine with the ears aligned with the shoulders, and then with your next exhale, float the hands to prayer. Inhale the hands into your back bend, exhale and fold. Inhale, half lift, step or float the feet back, exhale, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog, exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale the right foot up into the air, squeeze it up high. Exhale it forward in between the hands. Inhale the hands up into your runner's lunge, and then lower the left knee down. You can bring the hands to the hips if you want to help guide what you're about to do, which is to tuck the tailbone, square the hips, engage the core, and then draw the hips forward and down, really coming into a full opening in the front of the left hip. Engage the left quad, the left glute, and then if it's comfortable, send the hands back up over your head. I like to draw the left hand a little bit over towards the right. That accentuates the opening in the front of the left hip for me. And I like to have my back foot, in this case my left foot, with the foot tucked underneath, but if it's more comfortable for you to point the toes back, feel free. Use your next exhalation to go a little bit deeper. Keep that engagement in the right and left glute. If you notice that your right knee is out over the ankle, you can toe step the right foot forward. Let's go a little bit deeper for 3 or 4 more even breaths. Good. And then with your next exhale, bring the hands down, step the right foot back, coming back into your plank. Exhale, lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left foot up in the air, squeeze it up high. Send that foot forward in between the hands. Send the hands forward and raise them up. And then bring the right knee down. Tuck the tailbone, engage your core, engage the right glute, draw the hips forward and down. Pressing actively into both feet. So this isn't a passive posture. You're active in this posture. Raise the hands up overhead if they're not already there, and bring the right hand over a few inches to the left if you like. And breathe. Even breaths. When I say even breaths, I mean that the inhalations and the exhalations are of equal length and intensity. It's important in this posture and in so many other postures to keep the abdominal engagement that keeps the lowest ribs connected to the front of the hips. So that, for example, in this posture, as you raise the chest up, that helps pull up the front of the hips, the ASIS. If you notice that your left hip is higher than your right hip, try to lower the left hip so that the hips are even. 2 more breaths. Come back to center. If your hands are to the sides, with your next exhale, bring the hands down. Inhale, coming into plank. Exhale to lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Inhale the right foot up into the air. Exhale that foot forward in between the hands. Drop the left knee down and set the hips back, pointing the toes of the right foot up towards the sky. You can place blocks underneath your hands if that helps. Press down into your left foot, square the hips, draw the chest forward, extend through the crown of the head, and then fold with your next exhale out over the right knee, creating a nice full opening in the back of the right leg. That right leg's active, so the kneecap is drawing up towards the hip, your quadriceps engaged. You're not letting your toes fold in And you keep lengthening through the spine, keep folding forward, opening up the back of the right leg. Walk the hands forward a little bit if that helps you deepen into the stretch. We'll take 2 more breaths here. Good. And then ease back. And then walk the right foot out to the side and bring your right hand to the inside of the right foot. Straighten the left leg and lower down into lizard. If you want to bring the left knee down, you're welcome to. A little more challenging to keep the knee up. And if it's available, you can lower yourself down onto the forearms, keeping the right knee close to the right shoulder. You draw that right hip down a little bit further. Scan the body. Examine carefully with your mind's attention what's happening in your body. Make minute adjustments. Notice the effects. Notice what happens. And then make another adjustment. Good. Bring the hands back onto the floor. Press yourself back up and step the right foot back. So you're back into your plank. With your next exhale, lower, elbows skim next to the ribs. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. Inhale the left foot up into the air, squeeze it up high. Send it forward in between the hands. Bring the right knee down and shift the hips back. Point the toes of the left foot up. Square the hips. Press down into your left heel and the right knee and the toes of the right foot and extend the crown of the head away from the hips. Take a nice full inhalation, and with the next exhalation, fold forward. Coming into a really nice opening in the back of the left leg. Shoulders are away from the ears, neck is long. Use your exhalations to go deeper into this opening in the back of the left leg. Good. And come out of it, bringing the hips and the torso forward. Walk the left foot out to the side and place the left foot to the inside. Left hand to the inside of the left foot, and then straighten the right leg. You may need to slide it back a little bit. Then lower the hips towards the floor. Coming onto the forearms if that's available. And figuring out through subtle adjustments how you can bring the left hip a little bit closer to the floor. Feeling that opening in the left hip. The neck stays long. The head doesn't collapse down to the floor. Keep the neck long. And sink the hips deeper with each exhalation. Stay with the breath as you feel the sensations in the body. Good. Bring the hands underneath your shoulders. Press the torso up. Step the left foot back so you're back into your plank. Exhale and lower. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back to downward facing dog. And then bring the knees down into tabletop. Press the hands actively down into the floor. Tuck the tailbone and draw the chin towards the chest, arching the spine up. We're going to hold this cat posture for a few breaths, trying to connect the lowest ribs to the front of the hips and draw those 2 points closer, lengthening through the neck, even as you arch the spine. Press into the hands, create a little bit more space in between the scapula side to side as you arch the spine more and more. The hands and the knees are pressing away from each other gently. For 2 more breaths. Good. And then ease back into your tabletop position. Let's rock a little bit side to side. A few gentle movements. Good. And then we'll go deeper. Extend the right foot back with the toes tucked. Bring the toes of the right foot to the left. Place them on the floor. Draw the chest forward, lengthening through the torso. And then start to look over the left shoulder, trying to catch a glimpse of the right heel. Keep the tailbone slightly tucked and lengthen through both sides of the body. And press that right heel away from you. Try to bring the right ear away from the right shoulder. You'll get a nice stretch in the right side of your neck. A few more even breaths. And slowly come back to center. Raise the right foot up and bring the knee down. Press into the hands. Extend the left leg back. Tuck the toes and bring the left foot over to the right. Draw the chest forward and then look over your right shoulder. The hands are pulling back towards the right knee gently. And you're lengthening along the left side of your torso without arching the spine down. The back stays flat. Press that left heel away from you. Take 3 or 4 more breaths. And slowly come out. Bring the left foot up. Bring the knee down. Tuck the toes underneath the feet and sit back on the feet, creating that nice stretch in the backs of the feet. Raise the arms up into cactus arms, and then try to bring the hands back so they're in line or even a little bit behind the elbows. And then bring the elbows down a little bit and reach the hands up, trying to keep the hands back behind the elbows, side to side. So most of us have the tendency to keep the hands forward. Try to bring the hands back. The shoulders stay in a comfortable, natural position, so you're not squeezing them up. And link your movement with your breath. Inhaling up, exhaling the hands down. If you want to give yourself a little bit more stretch in the feet, lean back a little bit. Chin tucked, neck long. A few more. Good. And then bring the hands back down by your sides and then in front of you so that you can remove the feet from out from under you and move them about a little bit. Good. Next, we're going to go into variations of hero pose. So before we come into this, take the flesh of the kneecaps, pull it out, and then come up a little bit and draw the flesh underneath, behind the knees, out to the sides. That'll allow you to sit down. You may want to take a block and put it underneath your hips. Your ankles are just outside of your hips, so you can sit down in between your ankles. We'll come into a gentle version of this for a moment. If you want to come into Vrajasana hands, bring the hands onto the thighs like this, letting the hips sink down. We're just preparing now. We're going to send one leg out. We want to be really careful of the knees when we do this posture. So you probably want to have a block or maybe a rolled up yoga mat next to you. Go slowly, going with control, and then support yourself in whatever way you need to. The way that I find is most comfortable to come into this, I'm going to raise this leg up first. My right leg, it's on your left side, is that I lean over and I bring this foot next to the knee, and I raise the hips up high enough so that I barely feel any stretch in the left quadricep. I intend to keep this left knee down, and I actually like to support my hip with my hand, but most people like to put something underneath like a block. And then I keep pressing that left knee down and forward as I lower down onto my forearms. This is probably enough stretch for most of us. This is a pretty deep stretch for me. If you want to go all the way back down onto the floor, feel free. Keep drawing the down knee forward and down, and allow that side hip to sink down to the floor as well. Take even breaths, lengthening the muscles of the quadricep, keeping the hips square forward, and going as deep as is comfortable for your body on this particular day. Keep drawing that left knee forward, down, and keep it moving in towards the center so it doesn't open out to the side. We'll hold here for 3 more breaths. If you've gone down, to come out, you want to come out slowly. Try not to twist too much at first, and then you can walk your hands forward and come out of the stretch. And then I like to send that leg back and shake it out a little bit. It's a little bit intense for the ankles. If you find it's too much for the ankles, you can roll up a mat and put them underneath your ankles before you come into the posture. Good. Now we'll go to the other side. The right ankle's to the outside of the right hip, and then bring the left foot onto the floor. You also have the option of sending it out if you prefer. Good. We'll lower the hips down, coming into it slowly, knee moving forward, right knee moving forward and down, and staying towards the center. And then lower down until you feel an opening in your right quadricep. Long, even breaths. Feel free to close the eyes. And try to imagine that those 2 points, the knee and the front of the right hip, are moving further away from each other. That'll create a slightly deeper opening in the front of the right thigh and the quadricep. Two more breaths here. And then slowly come up. Good. And then do whatever feels good for that right leg. At this point, you might want to turn your mat so it's perpendicular to the camera. So we're going to come into a deep forward fold with the legs spread open wide. So for this posture, you want to have the feet wide enough so that they're nice and wide, but the toes can still point straight up. So if they can't, then bring the feet in a little bit. Bring the hands behind you. Adjust to make sure that the sit bones are square on the floor and lengthen through the spine. You may already feel a stretch when you bring your torso just an inch or two forward. Just stay right there for a few breaths. If it's available, you can keep walking the hands forward and use your exhalations to go deeper. So with the inhalation, lengthen through the spine. With the exhalation, fold a little bit further forward. Press the heels into the floor, pull the kneecaps up towards the hips. If you want to use your arms to make this more intense, raise them up overhead. And again, use the breath, inhaling, lengthening through the spine, exhaling to fold a little bit further forward. Use 5 or 10 breaths to really come into this posture. It takes time to properly open up your joints, to lengthen your muscles. This is an active posture, so your legs are still engaged. You're still feeling your heels connect to the floor. You're still pulling your kneecaps up. Your core is still engaged to protect your lower back. You bring the hands down if you like. You also have the option to come into a slight forward fold, but don't let yourself collapse into it. You want to keep length through the spine, keep the core engaged even as you fold forward. You have the option of reaching out to grab the feet or grab onto the ankles. Use the next 5 or 6 breaths to deepen into this posture, lengthening the muscles in the backs of the legs. You'll probably also feel this in the inner thighs. That's great. Good. Last breath before we start to come out. We'll come out slowly, bringing the hands down, walking the hands back, keeping the spine long until you lean back far enough that you've come out of the stretch in the backs of the legs. Bring the feet forward, shake them out, and then cross the legs so that your left leg is parallel to the front of the mat. Remember that I'm facing the opposite direction, so it gets a little confusing. And the right leg comes up and over with the foot flexed. You probably need to start leaning back, then start to walk the hands forward, keeping the torso long, making your way into a nice opening in the right hip, possibly both hips, and stacked firewood, walking the hands forward until you feel that opening, and then just work with that for a few breaths. Never force yourself into a deep opening. It's a conversation between you and your muscles, between you and your joint or joints. And hopefully you don't feel any pain in the knees. If you do come out of the posture, you shouldn't feel any shooting pain in the knees. Working deeper, deeper with each exhalation. Good. We're going to come out slowly, bringing the torso up, walking the hands back until you come out of the stretch completely, and then send the legs out with the knees bent. We'll do a few windshield wipers. Good. We'll do the other side now. Bringing the right leg under with the foot flexed, bringing the left leg up and over. So the legs are stacked, starting in a position leaning back, not entirely reclined, but leaning back, and then slowly come forward until you feel the opening in the outsides of the hips. And come into it slowly, slowly. Long spine, engaged core. Walking the hands forward, opening up the hips. If there was ever a time to practice yoga, it's now during these months of limited activity for most of us, for most of the world. Because we're moving less, it's even more important to articulate the joints in all the ways that they naturally move, to keep our muscles healthy, and to spend time cultivating our ability to be mindful. It permeates throughout the rest of your life experience, the rest of your day. If you can focus the attention on what you're doing as you're doing it, the overwhelming evidence is that it improves mental ability and mental health. And yoga is a great way to train the mind to stay focused on the present moment, on what's happening to you, instead of focusing entirely on your mental monologue. Good. A little bit deeper for this last breath. And then slowly come out. walking the hands back until eventually you can bring the legs out and place the feet on the floor. And let's do a few more windshield wipers, sending the knees from side to side. Good. We're going to come into a twist, a seated twist. You can have the legs out in front of you if it's too much to bend the knees and go in the traditional position, which is to have we'll start with the right, the left knee bent, have the left heel close to the right hip, and then bring the right ankle up and across so that that right foot's connected to the floor, and then position yourself so that you're connected to the ground with both sit bones. If this is really hard, if your right hip's way up, maybe send the legs out straight. Either way, you get the same essential twist. If you're in this variation, bring the left hand onto the right knee. If your legs are straight, bring your left hand onto the right quadricep. Send the right hand up into the air, and then with your exhale, bring that right hand around behind you onto the floor. Inhale, send the left hand up, and then bring it a little bit further around and connect the left forearm to the left forearm to the right knee. Inhale, sit up straight again. With your exhale, twist the belly button around to the right. Inhale, lengthen through the spine, sitting up straight. Exhale, twist the chest around to the right. Inhale, extend the crown of the head up towards the sky. Exhale, bring the shoulders and the chest and the chin around to the right. And look out of the corners of the eyes around to the right. Feel free to close the eyes. Really feel what's happening in your spine. What little adjustments can you make to come into a more complete twist? For example, if you raise the chest up just a bit, does that help? If you imagine you're corkscrewing your hips in the opposite direction, does that help? If you bring the chin down a little bit and then bring it further around, does that bring you into a more natural and complete twist? Explore, adjust, adapt the posture to make it more beneficial for your body. And breathe. Three more breaths. Looking further and further around to the right. And slowly ease out. Counter twisting for a moment, and then switching the legs. Now bending the right knee, bringing the left ankle up and over to place that foot on the floor. You may need to actually use your hands to bring your knees closer to the center line so you can get your left sit bone down, or send the legs straight out in front of you, and then sit up and inhale your left hand up and exhale it around behind you. Inhale, send the left hand up into the air. Exhale it to the outside of the left knee, left quad. Inhale again, lengthen through the spine. And then exhale, twist the belly button around to the left and walk the hands a little further if that's available. Feel your legs are active and connected down to the floor. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, twist the chest around to the left. And use your next exhale to twist the shoulders and the chin around to the left and look out of the corners of the eyes. So you get a little stretch for your eyes as well. That also helps you deepen into the twist. If you notice your chest is collapsing, ease out a little bit, sit up straight, lengthen through the spine, engage the core, and use your exhale to twist again. Keep working your way deeper into the posture with each exhalation. What happens if you spread open the chest? What happens if you twist your hips in the opposite direction, corkscrewing your spine? Three more breaths. And we'll slowly ease out. Give yourself a counter twist if that feels good. And then extend your feet out over the edge of the mat. Bring the hands forward, palms facing each other, tuck the chin, and slowly lower yourself down. Keeping the chest facing forward, try to bring down the sacrum first. And then roll out the rest of your spine, one vertebra at a time, until finally the head comes down. Then the head comes down, then the palms face up, the feet fall open, and everything sinks down into the floor for 3 or 4 breaths. Good. Bring the heels close to the bum. Point the toes slightly inwards. Raise the hips up. We'll go into bridge. If you want to go into downward bow, feel free. Upward bow. Feel free to go into that posture. Interlock your fingers underneath your hips. Reach the hands away from your head as you walk the shoulders underneath you. Make sure that the knees don't splay open and that the neck stays relaxed as you press into the balls of the feet and raise the chest up over the chin. Good. Keep reaching the hands away from you, pressing the arms down into the ground gently. And raise the chest a little bit higher up over the chin for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down, release the hands. Roll your spine down. I like to raise the heels to help that happen. And then bring the knees over the chest. Give yourself a hug. We'll go into it one more time. Feet come down, toes point slightly inwards. Raise the hips up to interlock the hands. This time, interlock your hands in the opposite way. So the other pointer finger's on top. Reach the hands away from you. Walk the shoulders underneath you. Relax the neck and then press into the balls of the feet to raise the chest up over the chin. The knees don't splay apart. They stay in line with the heels. If everything feels good, go a little bit deeper into it, bringing the chest a bit higher over the chin for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly lower down, rolling the spine down, and then giving yourself a hug. Good. We're going to go into final Shavasana in a moment. If you'd like to do any posture or postures before we finish, feel free to do that, and then I'll take you into a final relaxation that'll last about 5 or 8 minutes. If you want to do this next posture with me, I'm going to describe Pavanamuktasana. We've articulated our spine in all the ways that it naturally does, side to side, forward, back, and twist. And now we're going to lengthen the spine. So raise the head up, reach around the shins just below the knees, grab the opposite wrist, or if you can do it, grab the opposite elbow. Good. Ankles are side by side. Look at your ankles. Try to bring the tailbone slightly closer to the floor and then roll the spine out, bringing the back of the head down as far as possible from the hips. Relax the shoulders. Close the eyes. Bring the attention inwards. And try to feel the spine aligning with the floor. Try to feel the vertebrae in between the shoulder blades moving closer to the ground. The sacrum and tailbone moving down towards the floor. And at some point, you may be able to create a little bit more length in the spine by raising the head up, bringing the back of the head further from the hips. Feel the spine. Stay with the sensations in the spine as it lengthens and aligns with the floor. This is a great posture for cultivating pratyahara. Inward focus. Good. And slowly release the hands. Let the feet come down to the floor. And then send the feet out and come into your final Shavasana posture, your final relaxation posture. Feel free to put something underneath the knees. Feel free to cover yourself up or put on a sweatshirt. And then get comfortable. For most of us, if we reach the hands a little further from the shoulders and the feet a little further from the hips, that makes the posture more effective and more comfortable. And once you come into that comfortable final relaxation posture, start taking exaggerated breaths. Try to fill the lungs as completely as possible with your next inhalation. Take really long, slow inhalations and follow those inhalations with long, slow exhalations where you release the whole body down into the ground. Submit yourself to gravity with each exhalation. Fill the lungs to their absolutely maximum capacity with each inhalation. Take 3 more of these preparatory breaths. Good. After this next exhalation, let the breath become effortless. And bring your attention down to the tips of the toes of the left leg. Start feeling your way upwards through the left foot. Just noticing whatever sensations are there to be felt and continuing upwards. If you notice tension, some muscle gripping, just let it dissipate. Continue upwards. Through the ankle and the lower leg, the knee and the upper leg. Come up to the left hip, left side of your torso. Move through the chest and the left shoulder, and down the left arm. Coming down through the elbow and the forearm, the wrist and the hand. And when you arrive at the fingertips, from there spread the attention out to feel the entire left side of your body. Notice that it feels heavy and soft. Then bring the attention to the tips of the toes of the right foot. Same process. Hone your attention in and feel your way up through the right foot and then the ankle. Come through the lower leg and the knee. The upper leg and the hip. Move through the entire right side of your torso. Notice those subtle sensations and the not so subtle sensations. Move through the right shoulder and down the arm. Through the elbow, the forearm and wrist. Feel your way through the hand. And when you arrive at the fingertips, from there, spread the attention out and feel the entire right side of your torso. Good. Then bring the attention into your abdomen. Let the belly become soft. And from the top of the belly, where the belly touches the lowest ribs, from there start to move the attention downwards, scanning through the abdomen, then the front of the pelvic region, then move down in between the sit bones, softening, come up through the sacrum and the lower back, the middle back, and the upper back. Move through the back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head. Move down through the forehead, letting the skin and the muscles of the forehead and the brow relax, soften. Come through the eyes, down through the mouth, cheeks, nose, ears, tongue and jaw. Soften the front of the neck, the area of the collarbones, and the chest. And finally arrive in the area of your sternum, of your breastbone. Feel that part of your body and let the attention settle there. What subtle sensations can you feel there? And then from that point, from that part of your body, move the attention downwards towards the earth a few inches, coming into your center. And hold your attention there. Go deeper and deeper into your center. And while you're present there in the center, take a moment now for gratitude, if you like. You can conjure up a thought of image of someone or something, an event, anything that you want to feel gratitude for. Or you can just feel gratitude for everything, for all that there is and all that is connected to you, which is all things. Good. In a moment, we'll finish our session today. We want to make sure to do it slowly. Start by wiggling the fingers and wiggling the toes. Take your time reactivating the body, bringing it back into movement, back into activity. You want to have a good morning stretch. That might feel good. And when you're ready, turn over onto your right side in a fetal position and rest there for a moment, supporting your head with your wrist or your forearm. And then use your arms and your core strength to raise yourself up to a seated posture. Thank you for practicing with me. Namaste. We offer all of these classes by donation. So if you feel like you could make a donation, we'd really appreciate it. It helps us continue to pay our staff, even though our gym and yoga studio, Pure, is closed. Nicaragua is suffering a really, really difficult time right now. And your donations make a big difference in the lives of our team and their families. If you want to share this class, please feel free. We don't have a advertising budget. Yoga in general doesn't have much of an advertising presence. So sharing it directly to friends is the best way. If you found it valuable to hopefully share something that they might find valuable as well. Again, thanks.